What do you do in your black box?
Think, write, make,
You have to do those things in the dark, like a vampire.
It's not dark. It's just sexy,
Oh, yeah. Welcome to another episode of Shaken Not Stirred with artist Jennifer Rubell. Woo!
Woohoo!
I'm drinking because I drink a lot these days.
Wait, I was just gonna say, I need to go get a glass of wine. I missed the cocktail waitress when she came by.
Oh, I keep telling Isaac, I'm like, you keep wanting to make cocktails. I'm not sure why I haven't had one delivered to me.
I know, right? Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
it's all right. I'll have some water.
It's okay. It's the way that I get through it. But I feel like, do you always do a lot of cooking, or you've just been doing?
No, I'll tell you what's really interesting. I always do a lot of cooking. I always cook at least one real meal a day at home, but or two. I mean, I always make breakfast and dinner.
Yeah.
But I always feel like I don't know. I don't feel. I actually feel like nobody's really interested usually.
Yeah.
And now I feel like everybody is finding their own interest in the kitchen. And so this thing that has been it's like being really into Pulp Fiction, and all of a sudden, for whatever reason, the entire world is engaged in Pulp Fiction, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to share my my super fangirl interest in it. So that's my cooking thing. But it was really fun is all these chef friends of mine are sending me all this stuff they're cooking at home. And it's chefs cooking at home it's so interesting because it's totally different than what they've ever made in restaurants. And it's hard for them the way it's hard for everybody.
Yeah. I've been watching a lot of David Chang cooking at home.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And it's it's just interesting that being a professional chef it's like being a teacher versus being a parent trying to pull your kid through the school day at home, it's totally different.
That's the only thing that really interests my daughter right now is that she wants to watch cooking shows.
Oh, good for her.
I guess. But she's not a good listener. So she wants to be a sous chef in the kitchen, but she doesn't really want to follow
Well, it's okay, give her, she's 6. 5, said 6, 5, 6.
Yeah, she wants to bake a lot, and I'm not a baker. My husband.
Oh, no, and baking is right. I'm not a baker either, but I have gotten super into Indian food.
Ooh.
And so much so that I felt like I needed to equip myself, and so I contacted Gandhi Appliances in Skokie, Illinois, and had them hook me up with the appliance that every Indian woman has in her home, which is a mixie.
What is a mixie?
Changed my life. Well, it's like a blender grinder thing, but super powerful. And it has containers all different sizes. So you can make a chutney or cashew cream or I made homemade dosas, fermented them overnight and then ground them. But it's this grinding quality that's so great because the texture is amazing. So anyway, I'm the single biggest fan of the mixie in America.
Now that Isaac is home for an extended period, it's also, he's never been home this long in Grayson's entire life. And so he's doing a lot of cooking, and we keep getting a lot of new, we just got a sous vide machine just showed up at the house.
Right. Yeah. Cause you get deep in, you get deep in and you want to take it someplace because that's how we're built as humans, I guess,
Yeah. I've been going through a lot of the cookbooks on my shelf that I never seem to have time to look at. And I found this gem on my cookbook.
Ah! But the recipes are really good. They're really good.
I really wanted to make a cocktail from here, and the only thing I could find in here was you were just keep it simple, have wine. But then there was beer thing in here.
I've never really been a cocktail person because I always feel for me, I only really drink around the table. I don't really think of drinking any other time, which is not. I'm a big fan of the adult beverage, but so I never think of making cocktails. So no, there are no cocktail recipes, but you have great resources for cocktails.
Yeah. I got lots. I don't even, cocktails are not my thing. I don't do the cocktails in this house.
But everybody, you have to everybody has their role to play.
Yeah. Has this all this food renewed, I won't say it's a renewed interest, but new food, are you thinking about making art at all?
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because the work that I make,
Mhm.
is impossible right now. All my work is predicated on humans interacting with an object and humans interacting with each other. The
Right.
two things that are, absolutely impossible or scary or ill-advised right now. And so it's been interesting, facing this challenge of sort of like all the mediums that I usually work in. Basically, the foundation of my practice is off the table at the moment, and that's super interesting to me. And it makes me kind of dig deeper into what the foundation of my practice really is, because
Yeah.
I've worked in every medium. The foundation of my practice is not a medium.
Right.
It's a I guess it's a kind of mm, feeling, like a humanist feeling, and a feeling of communion of some kind.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so I'm working on one piece that's a virtual piece
Oh,
that
cool.
exists, that will exist uh, virtually, um, and then I'm thinking about the hysterical, ridiculous qualities of social distancing and kind of hygienic practices
Ooh.
and that kind of stuff. So thinking about performance that allows for, that doesn't just allow for social distancing, but that it treats social distancing the way clowns used to treat the king or the pope, where it's like this absurd thing, but you worship it anyway, and you do it, you do it, but you do it in such an exaggerated way that it's like a cartoon of the thing. So that's what I'm thinking
That's
about right
interesting though. I love that. I haven't talked to a lot of artists who are like, I think they're all thinking about how to change their work. They're not thinking about how that is incorporated into their work, the social distancing. They're just like, okay, now I'm going to make virtual work, or now I'm going to, I don't know.
Right, but I mean, artists make the work they make. You can't really change your work. You can like
Right.
change the medium, you can change, but like you're getting at the same kind of like you're getting at the same core of material in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of interested because it's like it's such an intense time. It's a time when, first of all, when everybody's an artist, when it's a time when everybody is in isolation thinking about survival, the meaning of their life, the what it means to be a human alive in the world,
Mm-hmm.
what the role of social interaction is. I mean, these are like things that, like, artists going into a studio alone and thinking about these things. Right now, a lot of people are doing the kind of thing that artists have been doing for generations. So, I mean, I think it's a pretty fruitful, exciting time. And then I'm also writing something at the same time.
That's
And I've written, it's like I can't even believe how much I've written, because I need to like accomplish something every day. So I set a word count and I just do it every day. So that way by 9:30 a.m. I'm like, I've done something today. I don't have to shower. I can just say I've done this, and that's that.
yeah.
And
What time
I've
do you wake
accomplished.
up to be able to feel like you've accomplished it by 9:30?
I
I
wake
know.
up like 5:30.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5:30. But that's my best. That's my prime time. That's my
Yeah,
best.
I'm for sure an early person. Like I
Yeah.
like to set the alarm before the kiddo gets up and yeah.
Yeah, and you have your whole day, and that's like that. I mean, I love that feeling of feeling like I don't need to accomplish anything for the rest of the day. I love that. I love feeling like I could just like hang around
Yeah.
and to like try to do first grade math that I can barely do.
So teaching it different now.
They're so smart. Like, they're so smart. It's ridiculous. Like, I can't, it's really beyond. I don't know how I ever got through school. And I was a good student. I don't know. I have no access to that state of being.
Yeah, it's
That level of concentration, I don't think I have access to anymore.
but that part of my brain just doesn't fire. I don't think anymore.
Yeah, it's, there's a lot goes in your brain over time, and it's like you don't really. So
I,
so are you working on like virtual show? What are you doing over there? How is it? Because it's as much an existential question for institutions as it is for artists, isn't it?
yeah, I think that we are. I just all the lights in my house just went out.
Oh no.
Wait,
Oh,
get back on.
they're back.
They're all on a control of some sort.
Okay.
We're just hanging in there. We're trying to figure it out.
Right.
I mean, I think, we're trying to figure out how long it lasts. And I think for us, the kind of our mobile arts piece of what we do, I think that the fact that we own a theater, I think that piece is a lot more challenging because I
Yeah.
think people aren't going to be able to go or want to go and experience that kind of performance the same way.
Right.
But, I think we're hopeful that like we're planning for the fall with the hope that by the fall we can open some shows or open a
Right.
show. And I think, we're lucky in that the mobile art gallery in itself is a small space and it can, I don't know if that's good or bad, but we have the ability, like a lot of smaller galleries, to control attendance.
Well,
People
yeah, you can
are,
let one person at a time. You can, I
yeah,
mean, but also you can figure out, you're just nimble, which is the biggest
yeah,
ability versus like,
the best thing. Yeah,
big institutions that can't really, yeah. I mean, I think it's going to be very, very interesting the effect that this has on the kind of artwork that
yeah,
we see. I mean, it's also just like, I feel like the whole world was in a mode of it's like everybody had their own blinders on, in every community, in every, even, even people who think of themselves as so liberal have their blinders on. People who think of themselves as so conservative have their blinders on. And there's something about this thing that's happening that is happening to everybody. And it's kind of like, I don't know, it's like you feel automatically a more humanist tendency,
sure.
I
Isn't
mean,
it that we're having this like seismic, like it's a shift? I mean, I feel like we had all of next season planned out, and now I'm just kind of like, I'm more interested in hearing about, like, I feel like the people I'm talking to are doing really interesting things that are maybe more interesting than what I had planned because I just think things have changed. And so,
oh yeah, the world is yeah, it's another place. You can't it's actually incredible to think about something that was planned and conceived prior to this because it's like the whole world was totally different.
right. I mean,
Yeah.
I think to your point, like because we're nimble, we've always been able to respond. And that I
Right.
think
Right.
that's the
Right.
place where we want to be. And that's the place we want to be in DC and in this
Yeah.
world. And
Right.
I think we've been thinking and talking to artists about different things for the fall leading up to the election and being
Right.
able to give artists that platform. And so I think there's been so much shift still, but I'm still really
Right.
excited because there's some things kind of bubbling and, I mean,
Yeah.
I still think people are coming to us with new ideas. And so that's exciting.
Well, art has a huge role to play because nobody knows what the hell to do right now. Like
Right.
nobody knows where they go from here in any way, like emotionally, spiritually, economically. Like it's very confusing and artists have the opportunity to like craft some of that new stuff. So it's pretty, and also I really think though that figuring out what it is about the work that is the essence of it when things get non-physical, or that's the essence of it when people can no longer like all stand in front of it and have that experience together. I think it's interesting even for artists working in a totally kind of like physical medium like oil on canvas. It's really interesting.
Yeah, we have a call tomorrow with a dancer that wants to do like a dance performance like inside our little shipping container. And
Right.
I think I'm
Right.
really intrigued by like that
Yeah.
physicality, the like the limitations that that space has and how that, and then how do we show that? I don't, like how does anybody
Right.
experience that? Do they look through the window? I don't, or do we record it? I mean, it's interesting. And I think artists are stepping up and being creative in a lot of interesting ways. I don't know.
Yeah. Super interesting.
It's
Super
exciting.
interesting.
Do you have a venue, or like with these projects you're working on, do they have a place that they will live at some point?
Yes, but well, no, the virtual project will live online.
Mhm.
Um, but there's like a fake venue involved in it. So, but the virtual project will live online. And the other, it's funny because as soon as all of this happened, a lot of like performancy.
Was the virtual thing planned before all of this? Or
No, no. It was not planned before all of this, but it was like it was a solution to a problem I've been fiddling with for probably 20 years. Like it was, I couldn't even believe that I hadn't figured it out before, but it was like sometimes you need that, you need one little thing to be impossible, and suddenly it's like all of the other things become possible. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, and then the other thing, it was a performance I was working on anyway. But the kind of social distancing piece of it actually makes it more, it gives it something I was looking for in the performance anyway. So it's sort of like, and I have to say, I mean, the performance that I did for you, for some reason at this time, I cannot get it out of my mind, because it's like it was about so many things that have to do with this time,
Right.
or
I
that
do
have
that all the
become,
time.
I mean, that have become more visible, and the kind of, I think a part of the performance that it took me a long time to understand was the whiteness of it. The like, I knew it at the time, and I remember when we did the talk, somebody asked me about it in the audience, asked me about the 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 whiteness of that Ivanka character, and I hadn't yet digested exactly what that was or what role it played. And now it feels so important how white it felt, like how that like it's just so, and then how just the natural audience coming in to see it was so diverse.
Yeah.
And this kind of like the diverse audience is being given crumbs. They're throwing the crumbs, and then
White
you have
breadcrumbs too.
what's that?
White breadcrumbs.
White breadcrumbs, right? But that's all they're being given. It's like it's so little, really. And then they're throwing it, and then there's this like pristine um representation of whiteness, kind of like just making it all, even the crumbs, even the nothing, just like making it go away when the crumbs were there, when the crumbs were not there. Yeah, it's like it has like a whole new layer in the context of what's going on right now, which is only revealing, even politically, what's going on right now is only revealing what was already going on. But there's no new separation of rich and poor. There's no new separation of there's no new alignment of race and class and all of that. I mean, that's all what was there already, but it's just like suddenly visible to every last person who's willing to look at it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is interesting. And I think about the early press that came with that though. And it's tied to, I feel like that the first kind of stuff that came out on some of the really far, some of those far right publications was maybe a hint at some of the more of the whiteness that I think that I'm seeing today. I don't know. Maybe we're talking about different whiteness, but
No, we're not talking about different whiteness. Yeah. I mean, I think it's like I don't know. I mean, I don't know about you, but my mind's been so blown by looking at these protests
yes,
of people doing things that are, I mean, would be so unacceptable. I mean, not would be, that are so unacceptable, and that, like, how broadly people can define what's acceptable when they want to, I mean, it's like, yeah, I don't know, it's a very, well, we're also living through a time of it's like the visuals of this time are so extreme,
right.
and it makes everything clearer, because you see things that you can't not read into these images, because they're like when someone is like screaming up in the face of a policeman, and the
With a
police,
huge gun and like,
this huge gun, and the policeman is standing there and kind of like, and just sort of like taking it with a goal not to escalate, which I guess was a political decision, I don't know. But it's just, and when you think about the impossibility of that happening with anybody but a white person involved, right? I mean, it's like, but it's like it's playing out in race, it's playing out in class, it's playing out in all kinds of geography and socioeconomics, and I don't know, it's the most, if you can survive this time, it is there is so much richness in this time to unpack. I mean,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that the obviously the current health stuff is one thing, but I think right now I think it's been pushed to the back burner, but like the election is going to be here like before we know it. And I
I
think
know.
it's going to be so interesting to see what happens into the fall and the
Oh,
art that we start to see.
it's so yeah, it's riveting. It's riveting. It's just like I just hope that, you know, what's good is the stakes. I mean, nobody can think that the stakes aren't high.
Right.
Wherever you land on the political spectrum, nobody can think that it's like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like we go this way, I go this way, I go that way, they all suck. Like that, I don't think
Yeah.
that's hopefully that won't happen. But anyway, like that's but as some observer, like from my own little box. I mean, I also decided to stay in New York,
Yeah.
and yeah, I just wanted to be someplace where there were other humans, even if I couldn't interact with them. But seeing things from the perspective of being here is just very interesting. I don't know.
Have you guys been going out at all? Like,
We don't go out too much. We don't go out too much. So, I mean, first of all, I don't really need to leave my little black box because I've never been so productive in my entire life. And I don't know, I mean, I think everything is a little risky, and I'm perfectly happy to be inside anyway. I've no
I find like going out makes me like I want to enjoy the weather and I want to relax and I feel like I need to that, but like I get so worked up and I get so angry when I see like a jogger running down the sidewalk without a mask on, and I'm like this is not
yeah.
this is
Yeah,
not
and
what I came
it's just like,
outside.
yeah, it's also just kind of I don't know. I feel like I have to be too vigilant outside my house. Like inside my house, I'm like, you're just living your life, cooking nonstop and whatever. I mean, I could probably use a little bit more exercise. But I bought this bike, like the cheapest stationary bike they have on Amazon, and I just like ride my bike every day. I mean, not, like stationary.
Yeah.
And that's the time I give myself to be on Twitter so that it's contained. And yeah, that's what I do.
I actually find I'm like so busy. Like I don't really I have less time I feel like to be on social media.
I know. Well, it's a very busy time. I don't know why, but it's not. It's funny. It's busy in the good way. It's
Yeah.
busy in like a very productive way, I think, for me. But it's not busy in that kind of just like running around. I don't know. Nothing feels hectic.
Yeah, I feel like it does for us just because we're a
You're-
small nonprofit and
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
applying for PPP loans and applying for grants
yeah.
and
There's a lot going on.
all that,
Yeah,
finding
and you have shows coming up, and you have to figure out. I mean, yeah, there's a lot. There's a
yeah,
lot.
gotta figure out how to pay the staff and keep them and keep this 20-year-old organization going. And, I mean, we're lucky we have an asset. We own a theater. And
Yeah.
I mean, I feel terrible for our resident organizations that, for them, there's like no end in sight. I think they have no idea when they are going to like be able to perform again.
Well, for the theater community, it's like there are certain things that are just there are certain fields that are so dependent on human proximity. I
Yeah.
mean, the theater, the whole feeling of the theater is dependent on humans being together. But maybe it's not. Maybe it's not.
I don't know. I think collaboration, and I've been talking to a lot of people about this, is going to be key. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see how people come together and collaborate. And like, I don't know, maybe not, but at least organizationally, maybe.
Yeah, but I think that there's just an openness right now. It's like I think also because people are so sort of like tender and scared and alone, and I think emotionally people feel a little bit shattered, and which does crack things open and open up the possibility of it's like we're all human beings, we're all trying to like cook a good meal. And so I do think that opens things up. So like picking up the phone and calling somebody and saying like, hey, let's, I don't know, let's do something together.
Yeah.
Like I always dug you and I want to make something with you.
Yeah. It'll be exciting. Yeah, I feel like the first couple weeks I was like, what's going on? And then I came out of the hole and figured it all out. And now I feel like good about it. Like I mean, as good as you can feel, like given what's going on. But like I think in some ways it's an exciting time, and I'm excited to see what like artists are gonna make. And
Yeah.
what's going to come out of all of this.
Well, I think I think for artists, what's exciting is how necessary art is right now. It's like you need someone to help you understand how you feel. You need someone to help you understand what the world will look like. Like there's so much that art is so functionally rich right now. It's like you need it now versus it's not extraneous the way it can be when it's not when you need it less. I mean, yeah.
Well, this has been lovely.
Exciting. So nice chatting.
So good to catch up.
I know, it's great to see you.
I know, it's so
and
nice.
Hopefully I'll see you somewhere sort of soonish.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I want to know about these projects.
Oh yeah, you will. Obviously.
All right, good. Well, stay healthy, stay safe.
So give my love to everybody there.
I will. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Are you in your lair?
I'm in my office, our office/playroom. So what you can't see, conveniently hidden behind the chair, is like the Malibu Barbie dream house.